configuring virtual machine security disk encryption. See, always nowadays it has become more important actually that the disk data is encrypted, so that, let us say for example, while I am transporting it for the sake of import of data from my on-premise, I am transporting the data to Microsoft Azure data center, and if the disk is stolen and I cannot afford to lose that data, or probably not lose, I cannot afford to get that data into the wrong hands. So in those kind of situation, I would probably always want to have the data encrypted on the hard drive. So we want to do now a disk encryption. Likewise, it is always recommended even to encrypt the data, even if it is in Azure, so that it doesn't go into the wrong hand. That means only the applications which are running on that platform, on that VM, could read that data, but otherwise we should not be able to read it. So how to do this? Full disk encryption is the term used to indicate technology that encrypts your complete hard drive. Your sensitive data, operating system, software programs, temp files, etc. are all encrypted. So you are encrypting the complete drive. In the event the drive, your computer is lost, stolen, or improperly decommissioned, the data that resides is inaccessible, basically securing it. So we have to use Azure disk encryption is a feature which we'll have to use, part of the Azure platform, to encrypt the data. You can use it for Windows as well as Linux, both the virtual machine disks. So it uses BitLocker is the software which is used on Windows, and Decrypt, not software, the protocol, we can say that, is used for encrypting on Linux. For this, we'll have to first provision is a key vault service. Now this key vault service, the details of which we will go into later, but basically is used for creating keys which are supposed to be kept securely. So it's a vault in which my keys will be securely stored. That's what is key vault service. So disk encryption is not allowed for basic virtual machine. There are certain series called as DS and GS series virtual machines. Because they are on premium storage, the disk encryption is not allowed on these kind of disks. Likewise, virtual machines which are older ones, which are used in the old portal, IaaS V1 virtual machines, we cannot encrypt them. Only the new virtual machines, these are the virtual machines which we are creating using Azure ARM templates, which we have been doing since beginning, are referred as V2 virtual machines. Remember that. But nowadays we don't even talk about V1 virtual machine, it's all V2 virtual machines only. If you are using the other than resource manager, the static model of creation, in such case it will create IaaS V1 virtual machine. Integration with on-premise key management service is not possible. Linux, Red Hat, you cannot do encryption. Certain facts, that's it. So steps to encrypt it, I would suggest you to simply follow this procedure. You have to get the complete script from this URL. You have to go to GitHub and get the complete script. And after you have the script, save it on the disk locally. You have this complete disk, just save it on the local disk. Then of course you'll have to log into your PowerShell account. And there is a lengthy procedure where you should know in Azure Active Directory you have to create an application, and then you have to execute the script which is going to automatically create a key vault for us. The script will do that for us. But in the parameters list it will have key vault name, you have to give some name, you have to give a location, you have to give this app, because that app is the one which actually will be used for connecting with this key vault, managing security. Permissions will be given through this app. There is some concept of Azure Active Directory applications through which permissions are given to the key vault, and only those users would then be able to read the data from the key vault. So that's something which we have to discuss in later sessions. The location, the Active Directory name, the name which we have created earlier should be presented here, and that's it. the script runs, all these things you'll have to copy. It will generate these values actually. These values will be used in the subsequent step. So these values which are generated, you go to the virtual machine, you go to the PowerShell and execute the command and use these values. AD client, secret, disk encryption, vault URL, all this which we are getting from here, we should use it here. The result of all these actions is, if you go to the virtual machine and see the disk, you will see it is encrypted. Encrypted will be true. Encryption right now is not enabled. That will be showing it as enabled. That's the outcome of performing all these steps in proper sequence. So I would leave it to you for execution. All straightforward steps are given, but of course little difficulty you may have, because right now we haven't covered this part and we have not even covered the key vault. So maybe you can revisit this particular topic again after these two topics are completed and perform disk encryption, or we may do it at that point of time just to demonstrate the power of key vault and Active Directory integration. I may want to do that at that point of time, but it is always recommended to have disk encryption enabled where the data is critical. That's all in this. Thank you.